Hello and welcome everyone. This is week 5 of Healthy for Life. So I am so glad to see you all still here. I am personally having a hard time believing it's been 5 weeks since we started. So welcome to the presentation today. Let me go ahead and get that started. We've got a good topic today. We are going to talk about sleep. Does this resonate with anyone else? Sleep? So, getting some high quality Z's, how to improve your sleep, because make no mistake, sleep is one of the most important things that you can do for your overall health and to make yourself healthy for life. Oh, and before we go any further, you see that cute little button? He's 13 years old now. And yes, he did give me permission to use that picture in this presentation. So before we dive into sleep and some strategies with that, always got to start out by saying, how was your week? Hopefully you had a good one. As we are recording this, as you're participating in this, this is springtime in Montana. And one of my favorite things about springtime is when the flowers come out. I call these the sunflowers. I know that's not their scientific name. If any of you are in Helena, this is just up above Virginia Dale Street. I forget what the exact, I think it's called like the Rock Garden or something like that. But you can connect to this trail off of Lime Kiln. And when the sunflowers start going, it's gorgeous. So that is a great way to get a little exercise into your life as well. Great busy, did not keep the food log. Pretty good week so far, and it's gorgeous out today. It totally is. So if you can get outside, even while you're maybe listening to this, that would be great. Just go enjoy some sunshine, get some vitamin D, some fresh air. Were you better able to do, when you did track your food, and I know one of you mentioned that you weren't able to do that this last week, but if you were able to track your food this last week, were you able to more easily find the serving sizes and select healthy foods? Hopefully. I haven't been feeling well and haven't kept my logs for the last 2 weeks, so I'm feeling ashamed and depressed. Oh yes, those are big words, aren't they? And they do very accurately reflect how it can make you feel not to meet your goals, ashamed and depressed. So when you start to feel that way, and there's a whole variety of different reasons why you might be feeling that way, but when you start to feel that way, as much as you can, try and give yourself grace. And grace is not giving something to somebody who deserves it. It's giving something to somebody who doesn't deserve it. And when you give yourself grace, it makes you better able to get back on the horse, as it were, and get back to it. So when you start feeling those negative thoughts and those thought processes and emotions, it's okay to feel those. It's okay to recognize them. Maybe even take a second. Why am I feeling this way? But try not to dwell there. Try not to dwell in that place. Try and think to yourself, today's a new day. You know, all of that's in the past. I can't change that, but I can change what I'm doing moving forward. There's all kinds of different things that you can think, and it's different for each of us. But see if you can start to work on that positive self-talk and give yourself some grace, because I give you grace. But if you don't give yourself grace, then you're not going to be able to meet your goals as easily as you would otherwise. So we're going to take those negative feelings as much as we can and put that behind us. And we're going to move forward with fresh start today. Let's see what some of the other comments were. And before I go any further, I really have to be real with you all. And I have to say that this was a tough week for me too. This was a tough week with the tracking and trying to stay within my calorie goal. And there were several days where I didn't. And I had some of those same negative feelings as what you're talking about. And as much as as much as we can, I really want us to normalize that. It is totally normal for that to happen. This is long-term sustained hard work, right? It is totally normal for that to happen. So you got to work on your resiliency. And we'll go through, we have a presentation where I'll talk about resiliency. But just do, you know, as much as you can, give yourself grace as we go through. All right, let's see what else we got in the chat here. Didn't keep food log, but lost some weight. That's fabulous news. Getting easier to read labels and view serving sizes. Good. I'm glad. Focused on the calories, did look at the labels, tracking on my phone app and writing down on food log. I decided it was too much and just kept track on my phone app. Yeah. Amazing how long grocery shopping takes when I pay attention to the labels and the food that I'm buying. It is so true. But again, just remember that, I mean, the learning curve is really steep right now. So try and triage that a little bit when you're in the grocery store, unless you have energy towards that and you have time to do that. And in which case, you know, if you're curious about it, spend as much time in the grocery store as you want to, just looking at those labels and finding things out, because that can be really exciting too. Make no mistake. I did hit 15,000 on steps on 2 days last week and at least 11,000 on the other days. That's fabulous. That's a lot of steps. Good, good. And I'm glad that you all are resonating with me with this last week. Yeah, it's totally normal. And that's why we're here, right? That's why we're here together, so that we can hear that it's normal and hopefully we can encourage each other. Experience was looking at apps for calories and finding significant difference in calorie amounts. Yes, actually, I was thinking that I should mention to that to you all today. In the Fitbit app, I might look for something like fish burrito. I had a fish burrito earlier this week, and there was a big long list of fish burritos in there, and it ranged everywhere from 1,500 calories to 300 calories. And the Fitbit app doesn't show you the ingredients. It doesn't show you what's in it or how big the serving size is. So it's like, gosh, I don't really know. So in that case, kind of what I tried to do in my head, and I'm maybe better at this because I've had the actual experience of measuring it out, but I kind of say, okay, I had one 12-inch whole wheat tortilla. I had a 4-ounce portion of the breaded fish. I had about a half a cup of cabbage. I had about a half a cup of pico de gallo. And so I just went in and I put the separate things in there rather than putting in fish burrito. And then that I felt like gave me a more accurate calorie amount. And then most of the apps that are in there also give you the option to enter your own food. So if you're eating something that's not on the list, you can enter your own food and you can put in exactly how many calories are in it. So try and do that. And the other thing I've done when I have the time is I'll actually go onto the internet, you know, rather than just in my Fitbit food app, I will go onto the actual internet. I'll do a Google search, and there are some calorie calculation engines that you can do that. You can calculate it up, and then I choose one that best fits that calorie amount. So there's ways around it, and you get better at it as you go. But yes, I've noticed that as well, because it is user entered information most of the time. It's not official USDA information. It's a user like you or me that said, well, what's in here hasn't fit my needs, so I'm going to enter this, and then that goes into the database for everybody else that searches for the same thing to see. So there might be a list of 8 different things you can choose from. So as you go along, it'll get easier, but just make the best educated guess that you can. And if you have to estimate one way or the other, estimate a little higher in the calories than you think that it might be. Okay. Good comment, good question. I hope that was helpful for all of you. Okay, so we already did a little reflecting on our week. This is the part in the presentation where I give you a moment, if you have taken your weight, to fill out your weight chart for this week. So go ahead and do that. If you have notes that you want to remind your future self, like we talked about last time, that you want to remind your future self about how you worked around some difficulties that you experienced, if there were successes and how you got there. And, you know, just anything that you feel like is important. It doesn't have to be a paragraph even, maybe just jot a few notes in there. Are there any notes on label reading or surprising ingredients that you found when you were reading your labels? Hard to know when I'm not in the room with you how much time to give you to write. Main thing is serving sizes per package. Absolutely true. It's just like the ice cream example. I use that a lot because I think I'm a little bitter about the serving size that they use for ice cream because it's not reasonable. It makes it look like it's reasonable in calories and it's not. But when you look at the serving size, it might say half a cup. But then if you look, you need to look at the number of servings per package as well. So like if you have a, you know, soda pop, say, you know, like one of the tall ones, not one of the single cans, you might look, turn it over and look, and the calories say 160 or 180. You're like, oh, that's not bad. But you got to look at how many servings are in the package or in the bottle. And most likely it's going to say there's, you know, 3.5 servings in there. And so if you multiply 150 calories times 3 or 3.5, that's actually a lot of calories in that package. So really good note. Yes. Your chicken sausages had no artificial preservatives in them. Mm-hmm. Yep. Retinoid, vitamin A. Really like the labels that show the scientific name and the short names. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't just say retinoid, it says in parentheses vitamin A. Yeah. So this is what this is. This is the scientific name for synthetic vitamin A. Mm-hmm. On vitamin A, did you know beta carotene, when the source is from beta carotene, is actually the safest source of vitamin A because you cannot reach an upper limit on that. It might turn you orange, but it won't hurt you. Just like, have you ever heard about those babies when they're first learning to eat food and they really love like the sweet carrots or the sweet butternut squash or kind of those orange foods, and they'll eat them so much they'll actually turn their skin orange? Yeah, that's the beta carotene source of vitamin A, and it's really safe. The only thing it'll do is turn your skin orange if you have too much. But if you're taking a supplement that has the retinol forms of vitamin A, that's where you want to make sure that you're not getting any more than 100% from, you know, like retinoic acid or retinol or, you know, any of those kinds of things. This is random trivia that's in my head, so I thought I'd share. All right. Okay, so here is our subject for the day. Sleep. Does that make anybody just want to lay their head down and just rest? Just have a little rest. It kind of makes me feel like that. I've been tired today. Well, this whole week actually, and I'm not sure why. So if that's you and you want to close your eyes for a little bit and just listen to me, it's okay, because we're on Zoom, right? I don't mind. Just try not to actually fall asleep. And if you do, you can go back and watch it later. But what is good sleep? If you had to define what good sleep was, how would you think of good sleep? This is my best definition of what good sleep is. Our bodies need restful sleep every day. We know this. This is how our immune system rebuilds itself. This is how our body rebuilds itself. This is how our memories get stored. Sleep is really an important part of our life. It is not a waste of time at all. It is a very important part of our life. Each person is different, but a really good way to tell if you're getting enough sleep is if you wake up without an alarm, if you can get out of bed without a huge struggle, because I know sometimes bed is really comfortable, right? You just want to lay there and relax for a while, but you're not like conk falling right back to sleep after your alarm and struggling to get out of bed. And if you feel alert and rested for most of the day. So if you get up, you know, totally normal to feel a little groggy right after you get up, but then that cortisol should kick in and it should wake you up and you should feel pretty awake and alert. In the afternoon, you shouldn't have struggles with falling asleep, like actually falling asleep. Our circadian rhythms, it's totally normal to feel a little sleepy in the afternoon, especially after you've had your lunch, but it shouldn't be like narcolepsy or, like uncontrollably just falling asleep because you're so tired. So that's what I mean by that, rested most of the day. On average, most people, and I've really hammered this home and I do believe it, there's no such thing as an average person. You are an individual. So this is just to give you a place to start. Most people need between 7 and 8.5 hours of sleep every 24 hours. So each day, and I put every 24 hours in there on purpose because I fully recognize that there are some people that don't necessarily sleep at night. They sleep during the day because of their job needs, or maybe they're just like my sister. I've always called it, she's a night owl. She just stays up really late at night, and that's just how her circadian rhythm works. So think about 7 to 8.5 hours of sleep every 24 hours is about what you might need. And then to get there, it's really important to be consistent. I'm sure that you've probably heard this before. You've probably heard a lot of this. Your wake up time, this is the part you may not have heard, is that your wake up time is just as important, if not more important, than your bedtime. So if you go to bed and wake up at the same time each day, it really helps improve your ability to go to sleep, stay asleep, and then wake up when you need to, because it works with your body's natural circadian rhythms every 24 hours with the sunshine, with the darkness, however that works for your body, so that you can get good quality sleep. My example of this is I actually teach a class on Saturday morning at 8 in the morning. And I always tell people this story because it really made a difference for me, because sleep is a struggle for me. And it has been, ever since college, kind of after I got out of college, then started having children and, the daily thing and all of that stuff gets cluttered in your head and I have a hard time going to sleep. But when I started teaching this class at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, it was really hard for me because Saturday morning was my sleep-in day, right? It was the one day of the week that I could sleep in. And so that was like hard for me to wrap my head around. I was like, gosh, I don't know if I want to do this, but I did it. And I have done it for years. And probably the reason why is because after I had done it for a while, I noticed that my sleep really improved, because what it meant was that I was waking up at the same time every day of the week. And I really, truly believe that the wake up time, if you get up at the same time every day, as well as trying to go to bed around the same time every day, that makes a huge difference. So that's my story, because it made a huge difference for me. So that's a tired little girl, isn't it? She gave me permission to share this as well. This is after a long day playing at the lake. So she's a little wiped out. But can the impact of sleep be overstated? The impact of sleep, should I specify, on your health? I really don't think that it can be. I think the more science that they've been doing around sleep, the more that they are really finding that it makes a huge difference in our ability to think, our ability to learn, our ability to socialize with other people, operate machinery, to grow if you're a child, to lose weight, to fight off diseases, to fight off sicknesses. It just cannot be overstated. It is so, so important. If your sleep is messed up, and you're not getting enough rest, your body's not getting enough rest, then it will show itself in other parts of your life. And it really decreases your resiliency. So it's really important to improve your sleep as much as it's possible for you. Natural and then chemical sleep aids. The doctor told me I was getting too much sleep and tried going to sleep a half an hour later. Guess what? No issues sleeping now. Interesting. What about napping? I often do not fall asleep until 1 or 2, get up at 6, and may have a 1 to 2 hour nap in the afternoon. The The science is a little mixed on naps, but the majority of what I've read about naps is that they're most beneficial when they're right around a half an hour or so in the middle of the day. Now, I know I've worked with people who that's just their schedule. That's the way that their body works because they have work demands, or, you know, as we get older, the sleep becomes harder and we end up waking up when we don't want to wake up. So as we get older, sometimes those naps start to happen. But for the most part, the studies that I've seen have indicated that those naps are most beneficial when they're about a half an hour or less. And if you have a typical work sleep wake schedule, that it happens before about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So half an hour about 3 o'clock, before about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that being said, again, each person is individual. So if doing it that way works in your schedule and it helps you feel awake and rested, and you're not having trouble with not being able to heal or not being able to lose weight, it's probably fine for you. Very important. My husband had a sleep test and they said he hadn't gotten good sleep in years, and then they got him a CPAP machine and it's been good. Yeah. That's why I ask for your feeling for the sleep, not necessarily just how many hours do you sleep at night, because the way you feel during the day often is more directly connected with the quality of your sleep, not necessarily just how much time you're in bed or how much time you're asleep. So yeah, that's a good point. So sleep well to lose weight. I'm going to go through some of the things that sleep can affect that I feel like might be of interest to all of you. This one is really interesting, actually. Sleep regulates hormones linked to metabolism and appetite. They've done a multitude of studies that shows that people who are sleep deprived have a tendency to eat more. The hypothesis behind that is that your body is trying to protect itself because it's got a lot of damage happening that it can't repair with the lack of rest. And so it's trying to make up for that by taking in more food and more nutrients. That's the hypothesis, at least. But their studies do definitely show that you have a tendency to eat more if you're not well rested. People who average 5 hours of sleep per night are 50% more likely to be obese than those who sleep 7 to 9 hours. Could be a chicken or an egg kind of discussion there, you know, which came first? Is the sleep causing the weight, or is the weight causing the sleep? Could be a little bit of a chicken or an egg, but there's definitely a connection between the two. I learned that a gluten problem was creating me to need 14 hours of sleep a day. Once I figured out how to change my diet, the problem went away. Yeah, that's interesting. That kind of goes back to the comment where your body was trying to repair itself. And so it was saying, go to sleep. I need to repair your gut from all this gluten that you're eating all day. Now, don't everybody go and think that you're gluten intolerant. It's actually fairly rare. You can cause yourself to be gluten intolerant by not eating those kinds of foods, because our body really only makes the enzymes and digestive things that it needs based on the food that you actually eat. But most of us, that's not the issue, but it is the issue for some of us. So if that's something that you feel like is an issue for you, if you feel like it's a food intolerance or allergy, then definitely go and see your doctor and let them help you out with that. But yeah, I would imagine that that was probably because your body was trying to repair itself, and so it needed that extra rest. Yep. Sleep well for your health. Sleep is when your immune system does its job. I always told my children that when they sleep, because you know kids resist sleep. It's like that meme I saw once that says, "Dear naps, I'm sorry I was so mean to you when I was a kid." True, right? As adults, we're like, oh man, I wish I could have a nap like that every day. But kids don't like to have their naps. They don't like to go to sleep at night. There's too much to do. It's too exciting. They're learning things and doing adult things, and they love it, right? And I would always really encourage my kids, you need to sleep. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But when you sleep is when your armies come out to defeat any little bugs that you have in your body. So it really truly is why you sleep, is when your immune system does its job. Sleep less than 6 or more than 9 hours a night is associated with an increased risk of diabetes. Again, chicken or an egg. There's definitely a connection, but we're not sure about causality. Lack of sleep is connected to mood, for sure. I'm not telling you anything you don't know there. It's also connected to depression, anxiety, kind of all some of those more common brain kind of thought process issues that can happen. It impacts your ability to deal with stress, so your resiliency, your ability to bounce back. I know myself, I mean, absolutely. When I'm tired, I am grumpier with everybody around me. I have a hard time dealing with anything that goes wrong, or I mean, it's really not a mystery that that is true. Sleep is connected to a host of other conditions, including cardiovascular disease. And again, the hypothesis is because when you sleep is when you're repairing yourself. So if you're not sleeping, you're not repairing yourself, and that can lead to chronic conditions or make them worse. For folks that wear Fitbits and feel rested in the morning, do you know what range their sleep score is? Oh, that's an interesting question. I can't wear my Fitbit to bed because I lay awake and think about how it's tracking my sleep. So is anybody else successful with that? I swear both my sleepless periods during the infant stages, my kids was highly contributing factor to postpartum depression, not just the hormones. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. The lack of sleep after you've had a child, there was a few days in there where I actually, I felt like I was beside myself, like literally beside myself, watching myself going, who is that person? I don't even know you. I mean, just like breaking into tears for no reason. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Not just the hormones, also the lack of sleep. 72. Let's see. We're going to go back to the Fitbit question here. 72 for the range the sleep score is. I wear mine on, but the light comes on sometimes and wakes me up. My alarm is on my Fitbit. I can't wear mine at night either. Prior to 5 years ago, my Fitbit recorded my sleep as deep blue all night long. Now I only get dark blue if I fall asleep on my couch. Really? That's interesting. Is it because you're sitting more upright? Maybe there's breathing issues happening there. So 72 is the one answer we've got for you. I can do a little research on Fitbit and see if I can answer that question for you as well. So sleep well to work and play better. When you're well rested, you're more likely to be more physically active, which we want to do, right? We want to go for that walk. We want to have the energy towards that, and having that appropriate amount of sleep is really important to having the energy to that. Sleep deprivation impacts your coordination, agility, mood, and energy. Sleep affects your ability to make physical gains in endurance, cardiovascular ability, and strength. So if any of you out there are athletes, you probably have had that experience where you didn't sleep well the night before, you get up, you go and try and do your activity the next day, and it just doesn't feel good. There's some days that it feels great and you feel like you can do it forever, it feels awesome. And there's some days that it just doesn't. And I have definitely found that the days that it just doesn't is definitely connected to nights that I don't sleep well the night before or the week before, or however long that it's been. It's definitely connected. It impacts your ability to problem solve, take on challenges, such as the Healthy for Life program, and work productively. It's all just like this with sleep. It is interconnected. It is intrinsic to one another. So good is 80. Okay, looks like we got an answer here on the Fitbit question. Good is 80 to 89. Excellent is 90 to 100, but most people score between 72 and 83. Interesting. Thank you. So there's the answer to your question. Fitbits are an interesting, if you don't have my mental hangups with them, Fitbits are actually a really interesting way to track your sleep and how you do. Sleep time strategies. Okay, so here again, you may have and are likely to have heard a lot of these ideas, but what I'm hoping is that you'll take away maybe one or two little things here that you can try, especially if this presentation is talking to you and saying sleep is something that you could improve. There's somewhere you can improve. So here's some strategies for you. Dim the lights within an hour of bedtime. So try not to use the big bright light in the bathroom. Try not to use the big fluorescent light in your kitchen. Try not to use the big overhead light in your living room. Try and use like a bedside lamp or a couch side lamp, something like that. Dim the lights. Turn off electronic devices or use the blue light function. And not only use the blue light function, but decrease how much light is coming out of your device. So I don't know if you can see this on my Fitbit there. I think you can, but right there and right there, that's the volume and that's also the brightness on mine. And then that's just my control panel that I scroll up from the top to get. And also in the settings, you can go in and set it on the one that I have at least to automatically turn the blue light on at 8 p.m. and then turn it off at 8 a.m. or whatever you want it to be set at. So it will automatically change from regular light to the blue light. So those are options that are out there for you. You can do the same thing on computers. Unfortunately, most TVs don't offer that option. So I don't recommend, if you have a hard time sleeping, I don't recommend watching a TV right before bedtime. Just because that light and the flickering motion really stimulates your brain a lot. If you're not asleep after 20 minutes and you're laying there and most of you, if you have sleep issues, you know what I'm talking about. It's that moment in time where you go, oh my gosh, I'm not sleeping. I have to go to sleep right now. Okay, get out of bed, do something relaxing. Brew yourself a cup of herbal tea, sit down and read a book. Maybe pet your dog for a little while, stand and look out the window, think your thoughts. Some people like to pray at that time. Some people like to meditate at that time. Some people like to journal, get the thoughts out of their head and put it on the paper. All of that is good things to do if you find that you're not falling to sleep. For me, it takes every minute of that 20 minutes to fall asleep. For my husband, it takes him literally 30 seconds. It's disgusting. It's not disgusting. I'm just jealous. And then try it again. Once you start to feel a little rested and relaxed and like you're sleepy, then try going to sleep again. Begin a routine that helps you relax each night before bed. So I always think about what I do for my kids. It's the same routine every night, right? We have some dinner, we have some quiet time activities, we go and we have a bath, we have a book, and then they get in bed. Not so much for my teenager, but for my younger daughter, especially, there's still that definite routine, so it's like cueing your brain every single time with each thing. Okay, we're going towards bed, going towards relaxing. Whatever your routine might be for yourself as an adult, warm bath, drinking tea, reading, relaxation, exercises, yoga, whatever it is. Replace your mattress every 5 to 7 years if you can afford to do so. Your mattress quality will really make a difference in your ability to fall and stay asleep. And check your alignment in bed. So the best way for me to describe this, and this has made a huge difference for me as well, physically speaking, because I have joint issues, is if you think about when you're standing up, think about good posture. So if you're standing, I want you to sit up nice and straight, right? Shoulders back, lifting your chest just a little bit. It's not like lifting your chest, but you know what I mean. Sitting up nice and straight, tucking in your chin, relax your shoulders, roll your shoulders back and down, right? So that's good posture. If you think about how your posture is here, and you imagine that you're laying in bed like this, right? That is how your posture should be in bed as well. Your spine should be straight. You should have a natural curve in your neck and your low back. Your shoulders should be back. Your chin should be tucked, all of those things. What I see a lot and what I've talked to people a lot is especially side sleepers. If you're sleeping on your side, you have a tendency to curl up like this in the bed. Anybody else? So if you are like that, you get shoulder issues, neck issues, Think about when you're curled up on your side, sit yourself up straight in the bed, tuck your chin back, straighten out your spine and your neck in the bed, and lay down. Make sure when you're laying down that your pillow is holding your neck in alignment and it's not forcing your neck way up or making it go way down. Make sure that your pillow is right. So think about your alignment in bed, and that can make a big difference in your sleep and also in how you feel when you wake up the next morning. I really have been loving the gel pillows that they have at Costco, because those don't get as squishy as the traditional pillows do. But it really depends on if you're a back sleeper or side sleeper, if you sleep all over like I do. So you can always look at that. Oh yes, side sleeper curler for sure. Yeah, and if your shoulders hurt, just try that. Every time you think of it, that you're in your bed, you catch yourself curled up, straighten yourself up, and it might really help your shoulders. Here's some more sleep strategies. Get up at the same time every morning. Already talked about this. I think you got it. Go to bed at the same time each night. Avoid taking naps if you can. If you must nap, less than an hour prior to 3 p.m. if you have that traditional schedule. And again, we talked about this as well. You need to take into account your own life and your needs and what your body feels like, because you are an individual. This is the recommendation for an average person. Keep a regular schedule as much as you can. In our day and age, it's hard to do that. It is hard to do that. It has to be a conscious decision, and sometimes it's out of our control. Try, though, most days to leave 8 hours each day for sleep and rest. Try to use your bed just for resting. Don't read, write, eat, watch TV, talk on the phone, or play cards in bed. Because we all play cards in bed. I know you do. But the whole point is, we don't want to do activities in bed that get us going, that get us excited and turn on our brain. We want our brain to think, I'm in bed, this is where I sleep. Make the room dark as you can. And you might try using, if there's noises that come in the night and wake you up, you might try using a white noise machine or a fan, just to muffle those noises a little bit so that you don't get disturbed from sleep. There's I'm sure there's more than just this app, but there's apps that are free and you can set your phone to it so it'll make noise while you're sleeping. So you can use your phone as well. What do you do about cats that think you need to be up at 4 a.m., right? Yeah, pets, children, spouses, garbage trucks. Yeah, all of those things. My best advice for the cats is to lock them in a room across the house. Because otherwise, yeah, they're going to come and wake you up. I know, I have a dog that likes to do that. But your sleep is important. I'm going to float the idea that your sleep is more important than your pets, because you can't be a good owner if you're constantly tired and if they're waking you up like that. So if it really truly is an issue, I know we're laughing about it, but if it really truly is an issue, there is a way around that. So you just have to stick with it, and your pets will learn what you need. Most of them really want to please you. So more sleep strategies. I know, as if I haven't given you enough already. Try and avoid caffeine after lunch. The half-life of caffeine in your body is from 2 to 4 hours, or even longer for some people. Some people are really sensitive to caffeine, some people less so. But definitely if you're having a cup of coffee at 5, it is likely going to impact you when you're trying to go to sleep. So try not to have any caffeine. That can be chocolate, that can be black tea, that can be coffee, that can be energy drinks. Caffeine can come from all of those sources and more. Don't have too much beer, wine, or other alcohol within 6 hours of your bedtime. Okay, how doable is that for you, right? I like a glass of wine with dinner, and my dinner is within 6 hours of my bedtime. So you're telling me I can't have my glass of wine with dinner? No. What I'm really telling you is that you need to do it in moderation. Do it in moderation. So have your 1 glass of wine that's actually 4 ounces and no more, because otherwise it has kind of a rebound effect, because alcohol is a depressant. And so it makes you really sleepy. And so some people mistakenly think, well, if I have a nightcap right before bed, it makes me go to sleep. Yeah, it will make you go to sleep, but then there's a rebound effect where that depressant wears off and then everything wakes up. And so then you might find yourself waking up in the middle of the night or 1 or 2 in the morning going, why am I awake right now? Try not to have, number one, try not to use tobacco or nicotine products at all. Number one, before improving your sleep, before losing weight, if you can quit using nicotine, then it's going to do you all the good in the world. But if you do, don't have any source of nicotine before bedtime because it's a stimulant. Try not to go to bed hungry, but try not to eat a giant meal near bedtime either. So you don't want to be laying in bed starving because that's going to make you be awake, but you also don't want to eat a giant meal because you trying to digest that food and that digestion process can keep you awake too. So try and be really moderate. Yet another reason why having a little bit of a smaller dinner can be helpful. Pets don't respect boundaries. That is the truth. Epsom salts, yes. That, well, there's a multitude of different salts out there now that you can use. But those bath salts, that is really, I didn't realize how effective they were until I got a little older. I didn't even know what they were actually, but Epsom salts, you can get you don't need to get the fancy ones flavored with lavender or whatever. You can just get the big bags, economy size bags, and it's really cheap. And then you just put a cup into your bath water and then you soak with it, and it can really relax and restore tired muscles and skin and all of that. Avoid sleeping pills or use them cautiously. So some people use sleeping medication, and if you're doing that with your doctor and it's necessary for you, then that is your choice. If you at all can stop using them or use them very limited, then please do so. And I know that I go through cycles myself where sometimes I need some help with sleep and sometimes I don't. But try and use it really cautiously and try and wean yourself off of it if you can. Magnesium. Okay, so here we're going to get into this discussion because I didn't discover magnesium until I got older. Magnesium has a host of things that it can be helpful. There's different sources of magnesium. There's magnesium oxide, magnesium citrate, there's oxalate, I can't even say it, but there's all sorts of different sources of supplements for magnesium and all sorts of different things that it does. And one of the things that magnesium can be helpful with is sleep. Melatonin, also kind of a sleep aid. I would put it into a sleeping pill category. It can be effective for some people, but it can also be habit forming. When I tried it, it made me feel horrible the next day. It made me feel like not good, super groggy and couldn't wake up and grumpy. And so melatonin wasn't super helpful for me in pill form. We make it in our body and it's one of the things that help us go to sleep. And that's where taking it in pill form is sometimes recommended. I'm not going to say no, but I would say if you're going to use melatonin, maybe talk with your doctor about it and see. Magnesium, you don't want to go over 100% with magnesium if you're supplementing, unless your doctor says otherwise. I would say the best absorbed source is probably the magnesium citrate for purposes of sleep. There's a lot of debate about that, but that's what I use personally. Just take it before you go to bed. Just take your magnesium supplement before you go to bed, and you might find it to be really helpful. It's not going to knock you out, but what it does is it helps promote your body's systems that are necessary for you to relax and go to sleep. So magnesium might be something you might want to try. Be careful with magnesium. Try not to take a big supplement right away because it can have bathroom effects. It can make your stools a little loose if you're not used to it. So take it easy when you start adding it. That's another benefit for some people who have constipations. Magnesium can loosen that up for you as well. can help with depression or anxiety. It has kind of a whole host of things, and it's relatively safe if you take it under the 100% of the total daily value. So that's something for you to think about too. So what you might want to consider is noting on your log, and I know I have you writing all kinds of things on your log. So for this, if this is something that you truly do struggle with, it might be something that you can add to your log just to get a feel for if there's any patterns in your sleep. Like ladies, with your cycle, you might notice that there's certain times in your cycle that you don't sleep very well, and then you'll start sleeping better. As I went through my journey with struggling with sleep, it was super helpful for me when I finally realized it was connected to my cycle, because then I didn't think myself out of it the whole rest of the month. I was like, oh yes, I remember this is this time in the month, and I never sleep very well because of the hormones that are happening right now, and I know it'll get better. And that was really helpful for me in mine. So I try and bring that up so that ladies might be aware of that. Gentlemen, there might be issues for you with hormones as well. There might be other things going on. You know, maybe you sleep really late on Saturday and then you have a really hard time getting up on Sunday or Monday. Maybe there's a connection there. So writing it down on your log can be helpful if sleep is an issue for you, to try and establish patterns. Also, we already talked about Fitbit, but there's other apps and devices that have a sleep tracker, and that can help a lot as well. And if anybody ever tells you that you snore at night and you feel tired all the time, you might want to get tested to make sure that you don't need a CPAP machine or some sort of breathing assistance at night, because that can be especially for people who are a little overweight and they snore at night, there can be a little sleep apnea happening there. So if somebody tells you you snore when you sleep and you feel tired all the time, you might want to check that out. Does it help with muscles too? Misty, give me more detail about what magnesium with muscles. What about going to bed earlier on weekends if you feel you need more sleep but want? So if you're tired at night and you want to go to bed earlier than your normal bedtime, I would say it's probably okay to do that, to try it and just see if maybe you need a little more sleep that day than what you're used to, because that can happen too. And here again, we're trying to make friends with our body, trying to listen to our body. And just like with water and with hunger, our body will talk to us about our sleep. So if it's telling you, I'm really tired and I want to go to bed and it's 9:30 and you don't normally go to bed until 11, maybe listen to your body. Maybe go and lay down in your bed and go to sleep. Now, if you start doing that and you start waking up way early in the morning, then maybe keep your bedtime the same. But if you find you do that every once in a while, you just feel really tired earlier, you'll sleep till your regular time and then you'll feel better, that's probably just fine. Just listen to your body. And if it tells you it's tired, then figure out why and how you can fix that. Muscle cramps and muscle tiredness, does magnesium help with that? I would say the muscle cramps and muscle tiredness is a more complicated issue than just magnesium. Magnesium can certainly contribute to that. But if you're having muscle cramps and muscle tiredness, I would look more into a multivitamin or electrolyte supplements or something like that, especially when people have been trying to lose weight for a while. And I'm not saying this is the issue, but they might not be getting enough of those water soluble vitamins during the day. And so supplementing with that might be helpful for the muscle cramps and the muscle tiredness. I've had people have really good success with having like an electrolyte supplement to help with that. So that's potassium, sodium, magnesium, all those kind of smaller, I think of them as smaller vitamins. We don't need a ton of them, but we definitely need a little bit of them. So then multivitamin, that sort of thing. Hopefully that helps. All right, food and fitness log. This week's mission is to continue to do it. So if you were one of the people who said, I had a hard time, I didn't do it this week. So maybe you just need to revisit if it's important for you to keep doing it and why it's important for you to keep doing it. And if it is important for you to keep doing it, then what the barrier was. If it was something that was transitory, like you were traveling or you had people in your house or there was some sort of special event and you can get back into it this week. If it was mental, like you just didn't want to do it, you were bored with it. It was having, I was having a really hard time this week with just like, I just want to eat. I just want to eat and I don't want to write it down. You know, I was having that kind of thought process. And I've had a lot of experience with working with people. So I was able to bring myself out of that just with some strategies that I use to say, hey, no, let's go for a walk. Let's have a drink of water. This isn't you. This isn't how you normally eat. So just think about it. Just think about whether the food and fitness log is still important to you. Again, we're on the 5th week of doing this. Why for some of us, it might have gone quickly. For others of us, it might be getting to the point that you have to start resetting your priorities and saying, what are my priorities? And I know this is hard, but how can I make this more a part of my life? If it's important to me, how can I make it a part of my life so I'm not constantly having the struggle in my head? Should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? Because if you can get rid of that, shouldn't I struggle, that can make everything so much more easy. If you just decide, I'm going to do it, and there's no, I don't feel like it today. And then you have to go through all that with yourself. So trying to get there. So what I'm asking for you to do is the food and fitness log, continue to do that. Take note of how you're progressing towards your other goals, whether they're weight management goals, whether they're sleep goals, whether they're exercise goals. See if there's anything that needs to be changed. Healthy habits goal. I mean, we've talked about a lot of different things that you can do. And here again, I'm going to reiterate to you, don't overwhelm yourself. If I was working with you each individually on health coaching, I could tell you that some of you would be like, okay, I need to go to bed earlier on the weekends, and I need to make sure and do my exercise 5 days a week, and I need to do my food and fitness log, and I need to check out new recipes. And what I'm saying, if that is you, stop, pick the top 3 doable things you can do this week and focus just on those. Top 3 doable things that you can do this week. So that's why I said, is the food and fitness log still important to you? Is that in your top 3 most important things that you can do this week to get you towards where you want to go, to take that step, another step that direction? Just think about it. So concentrate possibly on goal 3. That's the healthy habits goal. What is your healthy habits goal? Do you have one? Is it incorporated with some of your other goals possibly? Is there a place that sleep might fit into that goal? Do you want to prioritize it? Are you doing fine with it? Are you not? Is something else a more high priority this week? And you're just keeping this information in your resource bank for when you are ready to focus on sleep. Or maybe you're like, yeah, sleep is important. It's more important than this other stuff I've been working on. I really want to focus on that. Change your goals as you need to. Absolutely. Yes. And here's Calvin. And this is how we have all felt this way during this process. I can guarantee it. How come I can't stay up late? You guys can. It's not fair. The world isn't fair, Calvin. Isn't that the truth? I know, but why isn't it ever unfair in my favor? Do you ever feel like that? Absolutely, I feel like that for sure. I think the key is, I mean, in my Pollyanna head and when I'm feeling positive, definitely the key is you got to focus on the stuff where the world truly is unfair in your favor. It's just that we don't see those things because it doesn't make us uncomfortable like it when it's unfair. Our life is our life. Our struggles and our situation are our struggles. There's always going to be somebody that has it worse than you. There's always going to be somebody that has it better than you. So try and think as you go through this process, where is the world unfair in your favor as versus not in your favor? And try and focus on those things. And then once you've focused on those things, the positives, if you will, then you can start thinking, okay, where's a little change I can make? Where's something that maybe I can do a little better? Your overall goal, remind yourself, why are you here? Remember at the very beginning when I said, write it on a Post-it, put it on your mirror, put it in your car, make it the screensaver on your phone or on your computer, post it in your kitchen. If you did that, take a look at that. Remind yourself, get it in your heart, get it in your brain, get it in your guts. This is why you are here. This is the most important thing. So that hopefully as you go through your time, you can remind yourself of that and let those other smaller, less important things fall away. Practice positive thinking. We've been talking about this quite a bit in this session today. Focus on what's right so you have the energy to fix what's wrong. I'm going to say that again because I feel like this is really powerful. It's really powerful. Focus on what's right so that you have the energy to fix what's wrong. I just said that not even a couple of minutes ago in a slightly different way. If you focus on how the world is unfair in your favor, the positive stuff, then you'll have the energy to deal with where the world is unfair to you. The negative stuff, right? Or not even negative. You don't even have to think it that way. Think it more like things that can be improved, things that could be better. It's okay the way it is. Maybe it can be a little better, right? Focus on what's right so you have the energy to fix what's wrong. So do what you've decided to do to meet your goals, including the food and fitness log, maybe looking at that sleep, being aware that that's a component to your overall health and how you feel and how successful you are towards meeting your goals. Try and take your weight this week if you can. And hopefully you've all gone and gotten a health screening so that you can set that baseline weight, or you had one before you ever came into the program. But if not, please make sure and do that as well. Okay, so think of any final questions that you might have for me, and I'm going to read you some Calvin. So Calvin says that he likes toboggans better than runner sleds. And Hobbes asks him why. He says, because there's no way to steer, because Calvin's crazy like that. So they're outside, it's wintertime. On these cloudy winter days, sometimes I'd like to lie back on my sled and look at the sky. It's just gray and silent, no birds singing or bugs buzzing, everything muffled by the snow. Imagine what it would be like without any people or houses around. It would be perfectly still. And then they enjoy. He says, pretty neat, huh? Does anybody else feel like you're in a yoga class? Right? Yes, very peaceful, Hobbes says. And then Calvin pushes him down the hill. Ah! It says, I hate all that silence. Anybody else feel like that when you're trying to go to sleep sometimes? It's that moment where you're like, everything's wonderful. This feels so good. And then you go, why aren't I asleep yet? And then boop, off you go, right? Maybe that's just my interpretation of it. But that's why I put it in there. Any questions that anybody has for me? Let me check in here. Every night, yep, every night. All right, everyone. You all know where to find me. And I encourage you to reach out if you do have questions for me. I wish for you very good sleep this week. I wish for you progress towards your goals, successes. Try and focus on the positives that are happening for you right now. Let me know if I can help with that. And I will send a follow-up email afterwards. But let me know if you have questions, and we will see you next Thursday. Bye.